Hey, what's up, you guys? I hope you're okay. And I really hope that you studied some science. This class, we're gonna revise some science, okay? So we're gonna talk about topic 6, which is about habitats. So I think you should have your books open now. Open page 220. Yep, 220. What resources does a habitat offer to living things? First of all, what's a habitat? A habitat is um, where animals and living things like plants is a habitat is a place where living things live. Could be animals, uh, plants, even humans. In that case, we're talking about animals and plants. So it's a place where animals and plants live. How do they survive in these habitats? What do animals need to survive? Animals, they need, we're gonna go back. So animals need food, water, air, and shelter. What do plants need? They basically need the same things. They need um, carbon dioxide, which is in so it's air, sunlight, nutrients, food, same thing, and water. So let's check the answer. So what resources does a habitat offer to living things? Air, water, shelter, and food. Yep, yeah. Number 2, label each habitat. You have two pictures. What habitats do you remember what habitats we studied? Wait, let me take notes. So what are the habitats? We took forests, we took deserts, ocean, grasslands, wetlands. Wetlands include what? Swamps and marshes. What else? We took tundras, right? I think that's it. Is that it? I think that's it. Okay. So these are the habitats. We have two pictures. Which habitat is it? You should have seen the answer. So for the first one, is it the ocean? It's not the ocean. Is it the forest? Nope, it's not. It's a wetland. The second one, it's icy. So what is the icy habitat? The icy habitat is the tundra. Second page, page 221. Draw a line between the living thing and its habitat. We have the first picture. Um, I told you, well, like, I taught you the name of it before. I hope you remember that. I keep asking you questions like you're gonna reply me right away. Okay, so the first thing is cactus. Where does it live? Does it live in the river, the desert, or the forest? It lives in the desert. The second picture, it's an owl. Does it live in the river? Does it swim? It doesn't swim, it flies, right? So it doesn't live in the river. Uh it doesn't it lives in the forest. Okay. What about the last picture? The third picture, it's a fish. It lives in the river. Ah, we're done. Okay. Number 4. How's the diversity different in a forest habitat and a desert habitat? Oh, again, diversity. What is diversity for the 30th time? What is diversity? Diversity is having different types of animals and plants in the same place, in the same habitat in that case. So, how is the diversity different in a forest habitat and a desert habitat? Which one is more diverse? The forest or the desert? Which one of them has more different types of animals? I think is the forest. It is the forest. So the forest is more diverse. It has more kinds of plants and animals. Number five, how are plants different? How are plants different in marshes and swamps? Um, so what is the difference between marshes and swamps? How can you distinguish between them? Uh, there was a picture I showed you before. Wait. So marshes they have like short. Okay, in swamps they're like trees. In marshes they're like plants. Wait, I have a picture. I think I prepared it. Wait. There. Okay. So that's a marsh. So these are wetlands. So they have both water and land. But the difference is that in marshes they is like plants. In swamps they're like tall trees. That's the difference. I've showed you this picture before, and I think you've seen that one before as well. Same thing. So that's a swamp, and that's a marsh. Let's go back. So, yeah. Marshes have more grasses, swamps have more trees. That's okay, page 221, 222. Um, so I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna play an audio. You have this text here. I'm gonna play an audio. He's gonna read it for you, and then we're gonna answer the questions.
Evidence-based assessment. Read this scenario and answer questions 1 through 4. Joe and his family went on a trip. They visited 2 places. Their first stop was a place that was dry. Joe saw a plant with sharp needles and a waxy coating. It did not need much water to survive. The second place Joe's family went was cooler. It was also grassy. It had rivers and streams. Next year, Joe's family will go to a different place. It has tall trees. It rains every day. The temperature is warm all year. 1. What type of habitat did Joe and his family go to first?
So let's read that again. Joe and his family went on a trip. They visited 2 places. The first stop was a place that was dry. Joe saw a plant with sharp needles and a waxy coating. It did not need much water to survive. The second place Joe's family went was cooler. It was also grassy. It had rivers and streams. Next year, Joe's family will go to a different place. It has tall trees. It rains every day. The temperature is warm all day. Okay, number 1. What type of habitat did Joe and his family go to first? The first one, it was dry. The plant had sharp needles and a waxy coating and did not need much water. Was it a swamp? Uh-uh. Because they say it was dry, so it was not a swamp. Was it a tundra? It's not a tundra because, again, it's dry. Was it the desert? Probably. Was it a wetland? No. So the answer is, oh, how can I circle this? The desert. Okay, cool. It was the desert. What is the plant with sharp needles and a waxy coating? It's a cactus. The one in the picture, the one with the needles. This one. This is the cactus. This is what he saw. Okay, let's go back. Number 2. Which type of habitat does Joe want to go to next year? Let's check. Next year, next year, next year. Here. Next year, Joe's family will go to a different place. It has tall trees. It rains every day. The temperature is warm all day. Um, is it the desert? Definitely not, because none of these apply for the desert. The desert doesn't have tall trees. It doesn't rain almost never. The temperature, yeah, it's hot all day. Yeah, okay, it's hot all year. But still, tropical rainforests. There should be a T here. Rainforest. There should be a T. Okay, a grassland or a marsh. Mm, 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 mm. So yeah, we said in tropical rainforests it's warm all year. This one. Oh, I cannot. Okay, never. It's B. Because in grasslands, let me show you where is it. It has tall trees. It rains every day. Temperature is warm all day. In grasslands, it does not rain every day. In marshes, it does not rain every day as well. This is not it. So, but in tropical forests, it rains almost every day. The temperature, it changes, but it's warm all year. It keeps changing, but yeah, it's basically warm. It has tall trees. Yeah. Grassland doesn't have tall trees. Marshes don't have tall trees. Do you know what a grassland is? Oh, I'm gonna show you a picture. Wait, a grassland. That's a grassland. Does it have tall trees? Nope, it does not. So the ooh, the option that's left is tropical rainforest. So it's 2B. Just don't mind the circle that like that. Let's move to which page? The next page. 223. Number 3. Write how Joe could tell the difference between a river and a stream. We talked about rivers and streams. We said that rivers and streams they're different than the ocean. How so? The ocean, we said that the ocean is salt water, but rivers and streams have fresh water. Um, the flow, okay, the flow. Same thing. Okay, so a stream is smaller than a river. That's the size. Okay, write how Joe could tell the difference between a river and stream. So we talked about rivers and streams. We said that rivers and streams they have fresh water, unlike the ocean. The ocean has salt water. So rivers and streams they have fresh water. They have a lot of diversity, which means that they have different kinds of um, fish and living things. Um, the only difference between them is the size here. So a stream is smaller than a river. So this is the answer. The difference is the stream is smaller than a river. But that's the note. So they both carry fresh water, can flow at various rates, and have a lot of diversity. Size is the only difference. You can check that again in your books. Number 4, circle the word that correctly completes the sentence. Joe will most likely see more plants and animals next year because the habitat has more what? So, Joe will most likely see more plants and animals next year because the habitat has more diversity. Maybe. So, we said next year, where is he going? He's going to the forest. Okay. So he's gonna see more plants and animals next year in the forest because the habitat has more diversity, probably has more marsh. Well, marsh is a habitat, which is completely different than a forest. So the habitat has more marsh, which is a habitat, so it's not correct. Because the habitat has more seasons. There are only four seasons. We've talked about this before. There are only four seasons. We have the winter, spring, summer, and fall or autumn. We've talked about this before. It's not in the book, but we've said it. So in the cold, it's winter. You remember that, guys. And then after that, we have spring, and later in summer. And after that, we have the fall or autumn. It has two words. So there are only four seasons in the year. There couldn't possibly be more seasons. It's not the answer because the habitat has more tundra. Again, tundra is a habitat, so it's not. We cannot say because the habitat has more habitat or has more tundra. It doesn't make sense. So it has to be diversity. Joe will most likely see more plants and animals next year. Where? In the forest because the habitat has more diversity. I think that's it for you guys. I really hope you study. And we're gonna revise it again. So this was a quick revision, but I really even if you didn't study the past week, I hope you study like today or tomorrow, and then we're gonna revise it again. Okay? Okay. Take care. I love you, babies.